This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. This hour, we're talking about movies. Now, a fresh spin on a classic storytelling recipe. 2 couples, 1 dinner party. The Invite is set in San Francisco and features Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz as a sexually evolved couple, Hawk and Pina, and Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde as a married couple stuck in a bickering rut. Wilde's character Angela is desperate to impress Hawk and Pina. Rogen's Joe is curmudgeonly and sardonic. He actually never agreed to the get-together in the first place. But the evening seems to take a new shape when they realize that Pina and Hawk came over for more than just dinner. Over the course of the film, Angela and Joe reveal deep-seated resentment, exciting sexual dilemmas, and a killer apartment. Rashida Jones and Will McCormack, who co-wrote The Invite, have been creative partners for over a decade, and they joined me last month in studio to talk about it. The film begins with an Oscar Wilde quote, "One should always be in love. That's the reason one should never marry." I started by asking Rashida how that quote sets up the film.
The film is definitely an exploration of modern relationship and is it possible to have a meaningful, healthy, and long marriage? And I think there's some irony about that quote because there are things that are excavated throughout the night that I think without the sort of like this big kind of explosive, chaotic evening may not have come out. And I'm not going to ruin the movie because I want people to see it. But I think for us, the message of the movie was that, you know, honesty and forgiveness are the things that will bring you forward and can maybe save you.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because part of the film is about sort of the unraveling of a relationship, Will, but it isn't the result of cheating or lying or a huge big incident that happens. It sort of is a lot subtler than that. Angela and Joe, they have a lot going on for a long period of time. What challenges did you face as a writer about driving the story forward without relying on one single event?
That's a great question. I mean, the movie really is about sort of the glacial disconnect between Joe and Angela and the sort of daily grind of being parents and trying to stay connected and trying to evolve in a relationship and just dealing with the vicissitudes of life. So while you have this like slow moving tanker of a relationship, then you're sort of peppering it with all these twists and turns. And thank God for Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz coming down from downstairs because that's when the party really gets started. But that was sort of the fun of it, was sort of having this relationship that had been so taxing and so hard over time completely get upended in one night. And that just was so fun to write.
Rashida, aside from a short sequence at the beginning of the film, it takes place in the apartment, period. How did you manage to keep it narratively dynamic, keeping it in one space?
Well, as you mentioned, we had really great source material, which always helps. The Spanish film is so great, and it's very culturally specific in a way that we felt we could drop into and kind of, you know, bring our own flavor to it, and also kind of like what's the sort of American version of that, you know. And also Will and I have a lot to say about relationships. And I think it's about, you know, the big turns. Like we always had our eye on the big turns, that being the uncovering of a secret, the invite, the second invite,
Invite squared,
the invite squared.
That's a sequel.
That's a sequel. Yes, and then and unexpressed emotions, and also like, you know, Will was saying, the sort of like the heartbreak of like being in a long-term relationship, plus seeing yourself as you are now in opposition to the person you were when you first met the person you're with, and that sort of like unraveling through the course of an evening. Like that is emotional tension, like it's never going to be, it's not a jump scare movie, but it has this like this sort of like bubbling tension because you're like, are they going to make it? Also, are they going to make it? And also, are they going to make it squared?
Why did you decide on San Francisco, Will?
We had lived up in the Bay. We worked at Pixar for a couple of years, and these people needed to live in apartments because of the structure of the story, which you will find out when you go to the movies, hopefully. But we just love that part of the world, and the characters felt very San Fran to us. It just felt like the right spot for Joe and Angela. And I just love seeing Seth climb that hill on the top of the movie. His life is just really hard.
So sad. I'm speaking with Rashida Jones and Will McCormack, who wrote the new movie The Invite, about a struggling married couple hosting their cool upstairs neighbors over for dinner. The tone is interesting because it's really funny. It's also sort of suspenseful, and this clip gives our listeners a chance to understand it. This is when Peanut and Hawk first come over for dinner, right as Angela and Joe are in the middle of an argument. This is from The Invite.
It took you a while to come to the door, and it sounded like you were arguing.
No filter.
No, I just want to be honest. We were at the door before we rang, and we could hear you were fighting.
Oh, we were fighting.
We were fighting, yeah.
Bit of a contentious environment in here, so I understand if that's repellent to you. No hard feelings, you know what I mean? Completely understand,
We love a contentious environment. We love it.
Okay.
Well,
Really, it's fine.
you hit the jackpot then, my friend. You're in for a treat.
So,
I love when she says no filter. No filter. It's so interesting. I saw the movie, but now hearing that clip again for the third time, I realized I could watch it again and see a different movie.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it means something different, what Edward Norton says in that particular film, once you realize, oh, they're over for more than just dinner.
Right, because now you can kind of front load all of your knowledge.
It's sort of interesting. Yeah. I was interested in the music that was behind that. Was that written into the script? Was that put in later? Because that's sort of what creates the suspense.
Yeah, no, I think Olivia had a very clear vision of this sort of like horror, like a bit of a horror take on this evening, And it's funny because Will came up with the great name, The Invite. We talked about it for a long time. We're like, does it sound like a horror film? We're like, yeah, but I think that's okay. Like there's horror elements about it in a way, but the brilliant Dev Hines composed the music, and I think the directive was like, yeah, just to have this like spare and like emotional and tense score or cello.
What were some of the other titles for the film?
Oh my gosh,
I don't even know. Did we go through a
we
lot?
went through so many.
Well, it was originally called, the Spanish version is called Sentimentale, or The People Upstairs. And that really sounded like a horror film, People Upstairs. So we were off that, but I feel like you came up with that really early.
Yeah, and it just stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our favorite.
You treat sort of polyamory, it's funny, but you're not dismissive of it, which is interesting. The couple upstairs have this open relationship, and you're cool with that. How are you interested, Rashida, between balancing them with not flattening them into characters, but not being too woo-woo about it?
Yeah. Well, the actors were very instrumental in that. We had this kind of like really like intense, fast like workshop session before we started shooting, and the actors kind of like downloaded all of their great ideas, great and fun ideas on with us, and we got to talk through a lot of stuff. And I think it was really important to all these actors because they are great actors and they always play kind of complex characters, that these things are not flattened, and that it's not just like this sort of stereotypical like swingers or whatever. And I think we wanted to really make sure that the lifestyle that they were a part of felt true to them, that like you could actually picture them doing whatever they were doing and not just as like a joke. I think in the original movie they're extremely scandalized, and in talking to the actors, Olivia and Seth wanted to be kind of really into it and know more, and like that's a great choice, and that really helped us with our writing, because then they just keep asking questions and we can keep developing it until they reach an impasse.
At a moment, Pina says that group sex is, quote, forces total clarity of communication. And this seems to be something that Angela and Joe are lacking in, Will. How does witnessing Pina and Hawk's relationship make them think differently about their own?
I think it's just a way to experience the world differently. And, their marriage is in a crisis. And I think that they're at a moment in their relationship where they're willing to explore anything, which I think is also beautiful because it means that they still love each other. They're still fighting for something. I don't think that they know what they're fighting for. So I think that they're more open to this visit from the neighbors than maybe at other moments in their life because they need it more than ever. And it's a real crisis point in the relationship.
Also, let's be honest, they're not having sex. And so to hear somebody's stories is just like it's like somebody that visited Mars and came back and or telling them about it.
Yeah, I think it's titillating to them. I mean, I think it's exciting.
It's sort of interesting. Joe and Angela particularly, they kind of fall into gender roles in a certain way. How does the gender dynamic color their relationship? What do you think, Rashida?
I think Joe has this sort of like idea of who he was supposed to be in the world, which I do think sometimes falls on the male, the male of the species, where his entire self-worth is wrapped up in his external identity, and he feels like a failure. It doesn't matter that even if he's a good teacher or his students love him or he's got a beautiful home and a beautiful family, he is obsessed with the fact that he did not make it.
He was in a rock band.
They had one hit and they didn't make it. And he can't get over it. And because he can't get over it, he's sort of sworn off music as a creative outlet for him, and particularly his piano. And I think for Angela, the feeling, and I understand this, but the feeling like you want to make this beautiful home, you want to really, really like put every piece of passion into your home and like make it perfect for your family. You stop seeing the person that you're living with, and it's a distraction, but it's also a way to like bolster yourself and your mood because you're like the relationship's toxic and dysfunctional, but my home can't talk back to me. I can just retile the bathroom, and nobody's gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna make myself feel better that way because I don't have to argue about it.
It's so interesting to see what you've worked on together, from Celeste and Jesse to the other black girl. What are you looking for when you want to work on a project?
Again, our mandates sort of change, but the fundamental thing is always like humanity. It's always like where is the humor in the pain? What are the realest moments in life, like the awkward, most realist moments that if you drilled down a little further into that would be funny and relatable and universal. I mean, that's kind of it. And complex characters, like people who are not just heroes. We're looking for sort of people to change. Like we always talk about, like we want our characters to change like just a tiny bit by the end, not like a big, like a big thing happens and then it changes you a little bit, because that's what life's like.
When somebody sees this movie, you don't want to give the end away, but what do you want them to think about when they're having coffee, when they're having a drink?
I want them to think about how proud
they are of me.
I want them to know that we see them, and it is very hard to be in a relationship. You have to grow, and you have to evolve, and you have to fall in love over and over and over again. And we see you, and it's a triumph, and it's a miracle when two people. It's so improbable, right, that two people meet and fall in love and decide to spend the rest of their lives with each other. It's so romantic and insane, but it's also kind of like what makes the world go round. So I want you to know that we see you.
That was Rashida Jones and Will McCormack talking about their film, The Invite. On the way, comedian John Early on his directorial debut, Maddie's Secret, which follows a burgeoning food influencer's spiraling mental health. This is all of it.